Listen, it's gum lesson number 13, commas part 5. All right, so just real quick to review at the beginning of this thing, we've talked about what makes commas such a headache before, but we talked about breathing, talked about ridge rules, flexibility of language. All those things kind of make commas hard to use. So we are trying to make some sense out of any of that. So in the previous weeks, we've talked about all of these things, with the exception of the last one, which is appositive phrases. So today, we're going to talk about that. So here we go. Commas part 5 is positives. That's a mouthful. All right, so you may or may not have heard of appositives, but what an appositive is it's a noun or a noun phrase that renames another noun right beside it. So sometimes they're really short, sometimes they're long, but yeah, essentially it's naming something within a sentence. And you'll see an example of it here in just a second. So anytime we rename a noun in a sentence, that means that we need to include commas. So here's what we're looking at. Appositives can happen at the beginning of a sentence. So here, my brother Carl enjoys playing with his children. Okay? So what's being renamed here is my brother. All right? So I can take Carl out of the picture, and that's kind of what the commas signal here, is that anything that happens in between the commas could be deleted and we still have a sentence that works. So my brother enjoys playing with his children, or Carl enjoys playing with his children. And again, you can kind of flip-flop these around and move it around however you need to, but that's kind of the basic principle. So you have a comma before and a comma after the noun phrase. We can also do it in the middle of a sentence. So the four of us are going to New York City, the Big Apple, to experience the sights and sounds. All right? Again, pretty straightforward. Again, renaming New York City in this sentence. And the last place, of course, is that you can put it at the end of a sentence. And this one is a little bit different in the sense that here we have a comma that renames the new movie star, but at the end of the sentence we use the period instead of a comma. All right? So here's how the math works. Regardless of where that appositive phrase happens, you are going to do something like so. If you have a noun, you are going to put the other noun after it, and you're going to put commas around that renamed noun. All right? And then you have the rest of the phrase at the end. Okay? So what you're kind of looking at, I guess maybe the easier way to think about this, is that these are kind of the examples in order. So the first one there is looking at how you use it at the beginning of a sentence. The next one is how you use it in the middle of a sentence, and then the last one there is how you use it at the end of a sentence. So appositives are not difficult. I mean, really, when you think about it, if you're renaming something, then you put the commas around either end of that renaming phrase, and you're done. Okay? So to review, ditch the old habits. Okay? And like it says there, if a noun is renamed, then commas need to go around the renaming. That's really what it all comes down to. So where this gets tricky is when you're combining appositive phrases with other sentences that use commas. So appositive phrases when you're using a coordinating conjunction or a subordinating conjunction, or appositive phrases when you're using a series. Again, you can end up having a sentence with a lot of commas in it, but the basics still hold true. So again, when you have an appositive phrase, commas go around the renaming. And that's appositives.